Blake's eyes opened slowly, bright white lights above, blinking panels on the ceiling, the cold touch of metal under his skin. He groaned. Pain pulsed through his chest and shoulders, but not the kind he couldn't handle. He was a soldier, a human soldier. What confused him more was where he was. This wasn't a regular hospital, clean, silent to futuristic. No smell of disinfectant. Instead, something sweet was in the air, like alien fruit or perfume. Then he heard it. Click, click. He turned his head, and there she was. She wasn't human, but oh God, she was beautiful, curvy in all the right ways. Green skin that shimmered softly under the sterile lights. Her hair a smooth black bob with silver highlights. Her uniform barely a uniform, tight white fabric clinging to her large, round curves, and she was staring straight at his chest. Her hands hovered over his pecs, then slowly made contact. He didn't flinch. Her fingers were warm, too warm. She looked up suddenly, their eyes locking. "You are awake," she said. Her voice had an accent, soft, sweet, curious. Blake tried to sit up, but winced. "Don't move," she whispered. "You were badly injured. For plasma burns. One went through your shoulder." "Thanks for the rescue," Blake said, smirking. "Or was it you who shot me?" She smiled slightly. "If I shot you, soldier, you'd be in pieces. Hot and dangerous, my type." She blinked, confused, then smiled again. "You humans flirt in battle too. We flirt in pain, darling." She shook her head softly, scanning his body with a glowing device. Then she froze, right at his lower abdomen. Her scanner beeped. Her eyebrows rose. Blake looked down to, "Oh, yeah." That sheet over him, not doing a great job hiding the fact he was reacting to her touch. Her lips parted. She leaned closer. "What is that?" she whispered. Blake grinned. That's just a human response system." She didn't move. Instead, her hand reached for the sheet, just a little as she pulled it down. Eyes wide. "Are you swelling?" she asked. "Only when a sexy alien nurse touches me like that." She blinked fast. "Is this dangerous?" "Only if you sit on it," he said, deadpan. Her face turned a shade darker green. She pulled her hand back quickly, then stepped away. Blake laughed softly. "Relax, it won't bite unless you ask nicely." "You are strange," she said, trying not to smile. He tilted his head. "You've been scanning my vitals for 10 minutes. What exactly are you curious about?" She looked down at the scanner. "Your temperature is rising. Heartbeat irregular. Blood flow to a very specific area." He interrupted. She bit her lip. "I should call the lead physician," she said, stepping toward the console. Blake raised an eyebrow. "Why? Scared of what else might grow?" She turned, paused halfway, looking at him again. "I was just trying to help," she whispered. "And you did," Blake replied. "I haven't felt this alive since I got blown up." She chuckled quietly. Then her eyes locked on his chest again. There was a scar, fresh, ugly, but she touched it gently with 2 fingers. Her touch wasn't scientific this time. It was personal. "You almost died," she said. "That's not funny." Blake looked at her, then whispered, "But you're funny, sexy funny." Their faces were closer now. The room went quiet. Just the soft hum of alien machines, and her breathing. "I shouldn't be here this long," she said. "Then leave," he challenged. She didn't. She leaned in closer, eyes full of questions. "I'm not supposed to touch patients this way." And yet, their lips were inches apart now. Then clang. The door opened. A tall figure in red armor stepped in. "What's going on here?" She jumped back. Blake covered himself quickly. "Protocol breach," the armored figure growled. "Nurse Vesha, report to command." Now, her eyes were wide, but she didn't move. "Vesha," the voice said louder. "Don't make this worse." She turned slowly, eyes still on Blake, and whispered, "I didn't even finish scanning him." Comment question. What do you think she really wanted to skin under that sheet? The door slammed shut behind her. Nurse Vesha's heart raced as she marched down the corridor, but her mind was still back in that medbay room. With him, that human, that bold, reckless, hot as the sun human. She wasn't supposed to feel anything. They trained her for war trauma, for medical crises, for cold professionalism, not for heat, not for bulges. She bit her lip and glanced down at her still trembling hands. She could still feel him, the warmth of his skin, the flex of his chest, the reaction her fingers had caused. He wasn't like the other species. And that swelling, it didn't stop growing. Back in the med bay, Blake was grinning. She left in a rush, but her touch hadn't, and she had pulled the sheet down just enough to make his morning. Alien nurses, man. He muttered to himself, war wounds never felt this good. He leaned back, eyes on the door. He hoped she'd come back. She had to come back. Hours passed. Blake was half asleep when he heard the faintest click. The door opened quietly, no alarms. And there she was again. Vesha. She stepped in slowly, her white uniform hugging her curves tighter than before. She didn't say a word. She just walked over to him and stood beside the bed. You're not supposed to be here, he said, lips curving. I know, she whispered, but I couldn't stop thinking about my pulse, he teased. She nodded. It kept rising. Your readings were abnormal. You're telling me? She narrowed her eyes and leaned down, close enough that her breath warmed his neck. I checked your file. Human biology is strange. Hub. Blake smirked. Want another hands-on lesson? I want to understand, she said softly, eyes dropping toward the sheet again. It's still enlarged. You're lucky I'm not shy, he said. She sat beside him on the edge of the bed, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, glowing orb. What's that? He asked. A thermal enhancer. It amplifies heat signatures, shows nerve activity. She hovered it over his chest. It glowed softly. Then she moved it downward. The orb turned red. Very red. She gasped. Your lower torso is overloaded with blood flow. Blake winked. You're turning me on, Doc. I'm not a doctor, she whispered. He grinned. Even better. Less paperwork. Vesha hesitated, then reached out again. This time she touched just above the blanket, right where it tented. He inhaled sharply. She whispered. It's reacting more than before. I told you. It grows when you touch it. She tilted her head. But why? He laughed. Because I'm a man. And you're sitting there, looking like a space goddess with bedroom eyes. She blushed, visibly. I don't understand how humans survive with so much tension inside. Blake chuckled. Most of us don't. That's why we go to war. Build rockets and flirt in hospital beds. She looked down again, fascinated. Your body. It wants something. Yeah, Blake said. A snack, maybe, or a snuggle. She smiled. Snuggle. He reached out and gently touched her hand. Come closer. I'll show you. Vesha leaned in. Their lips were barely apart. Then BZZT. The console flashed. An alert. A warning. Her eyes widened. Someone's coming. She stood quickly, hand shaking. You can't be seen with me again, she whispered. I'll be reassigned. Then don't go. I have to. Not yet. She paused. He reached for her hand, held it tight. Vesha. She swallowed hard. Her hand trembled in his, and then the door began to open again. She yanked her hand back and bolted for the side exit, but not before whispering, I'll return. But next time, I need to see what's under the blanket. Comment question. Should she pull the blanket next time or use her scanner again? Vesha paced inside the medical supply bay. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She tried to focus on the scanner report, but all she could see was his body, the way he smiled, the way her hand had hovered over that growing tent in the blanket, and the way it twitched. That wasn't just biology. That was personal. I need to get a grip, she muttered, but her fingers still remembered the warmth. Meanwhile, Blake was wide awake. His body still ached from the battle, but his mind, it was on fire, and she had lit the match. That nurse is going to kill me, or marry me. He stretched, flexing a bit, testing his bandaged shoulder. It hurt like hell, still worth it. Then the lights in the room dimmed. Click. The door opened. And there she was again. Vesha. This time, no uniform coat. Just a tight white tank top and soft shorts. Casual, dangerous, forbidden. You really like breaking rules, huh? Blake grinned. I locked the surveillance, she said, stepping closer. Just for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. He smirked. That's barely enough time to say hi. Then don't waste it. she whispered. She stood at his bedside, closer than before. He could smell her sweet, alien, tempting. Vesha reached for his chest again, brushing over the scar. You heal fast, you inspire me, she smiled. Then her hand moved lower, slow, teasing. Just above the sheet. Again. It twitched. She gasped. You're still swelling. He nodded. You're still hot. Vesha's breath caught. Then she did something he didn't expect. She pulled up the edge of the blanket but stopped halfway. Her eyes met his. Do humans always throb like this? Blake smirked. Only when we like someone. She bit her lip. I don't even know you. Let's fix that, he whispered. Name's Blake. Human. 100% natural. Single. She giggled actually. Giggled and sat on the edge of the bed again. Her hand pressed gently on his abdomen. Right above the danger zone. You feel like fire. Then warm yourself up, he teased. She leaned over, hair falling beside his face. Her lips hovered near his ear. I should stop. But you won't. She didn't. Instead, her hand dipped slightly lower. Beep. Her scanner orb lit up. Again, Blake groaned. Are you seriously scanning me again? I'm a nurse, she said innocently. It's for research, right? And I'm the patient with performance issues. She paused, then whispered with a sly smile. It seems very responsive to touch stimuli. You want to test it more? He whispered. I might, she said, voice husky. If I'm not caught again. He reached up and gently touched her cheek. You're risking a lot for a guy with one arm taped together and a tent between his legs. She closed her eyes for a moment, enjoying the warmth of his hand. I shouldn't be here, she repeated. But you are. Silence. Tension. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Soft, warm, electric. Not clinical. Not medical. Just raw. Blake's hand went to her waist, gripping tight as their lips danced. Her soft skin against his fingers. Her body pressed against his. Then alarm, sirens, emergency red flashing lights. She jerked back, eyes wide. What now? He groaned. She grabbed her scanner and jumped off the bed. They're coming for you. For me, yes. They know you're a soldier. They found your DNA tag. Damn, she turned to him, heart pounding. If they take you now, you'll be transferred to a war camp. They'll call you dangerous. Blake smirked. I am dangerous. I won't let them take you, she whispered. Are you sure? She hesitated. Then nodded. I'll get you out. He grinned. You gonna sneak me out in a laundry cart? No, she said. But there's an escape pod. Docked in subdeck C. You'll come with me? She looked at him and whispered. I don't want to just skin you anymore. I want to know what else a human can do. Comment question. Do you think she wants to escape or explore what's under that blanket first? Asterisk. The hallway lights flickered red. Sirens blared in the distance. Footsteps echoed down the corridors, heavy, rushed, official. Blake sat up slowly, biting back a groan. His wounds screamed. But he didn't care. She was back. Vesha stood at the door, wild-eyed, clutching a datapad in one hand and something shiny in the other. Put this on, she whispered, tossing him a thin gray jumpsuit. No one will question a transport patient unless they look below the waist, Blake said, raising an eyebrow. Still growing, she rolled her eyes. Human hormones are exhausting. Blake grinned. You haven't even tasted the worst of them yet. She turned away, flustered. 3 minutes. We need to go now. They moved fast through empty back corridors. Every turn was a risk. Every security node she bypassed felt like one step closer to treason. And every second Blake limped beside her. The sexual tension between them grew like fire in a tight tunnel. Finally, they reached subdeck C. A lone escape pod sat dock, small, private, built for emergencies. One bed, one seat, one control panel. One way out. She opened the hatch. Get in, she said. He looked at the tight space, then at her hips. You sure we'll fit? She stared at him. Then smirked. Barely. Inside the pod, there was barely any room between them. Her thigh pressed against his. Her breath was shallow. His was heavier. You smell intense, she murmured. I told you, humans run hot. Your temperature is still rising. Maybe it's your fault. Their faces were close now. The hum of the pod vibrated around them, like a second heartbeat. Her hand rested near his knee. Just Near, I shouldn't be here, she said for the 100th time. You keep saying that, Blake whispered. But your body's saying otherwise. Vesha looked at him, paused, then leaned closer. Their lips touched again, this time. Deeper, slower, hotter. Her hands moved to his chest, tugging the zipper of the jumpsuit halfway down, revealing the bruised skin and firm muscle beneath. She kissed his collarbone, softly, then lower. Blake exhaled. You call this medical attention, I call it alien curiosity. Suddenly, the pod jolted. A mechanical hiss. The pod detached from the station, too late to turn back. They were alone now, in a capsule barely big enough to breathe. She sat back, flustered. Sheik's flushed emerald system is locked on autopilot, she said, trying to focus on the screen. Where are we heading? Neutral zone, no authorities. But it'll take 2 hours. 2 hours alone with you. She gave him a look. Don't get ideas, oh. I've had ideas since you first touched my scar. She blushed. I just wanted to know more. About humans. Blake leaned closer. Then explore. We've got time. No distractions. One bed. She narrowed her eyes. Then whispered, You're confident for a half-broken man. He grinned. Darling, I'm only half-broken. The other half's at full power. She bit her lip. Their eyes locked again. She leaned in. Almost. Then beep, beep, beep. The console flashed red. Vesha jumped, slamming the alert button. What is it? Blake asked. She checked the screen. Her face went pale. We're being followed. What? One of their patrol drones. It locked onto our pod's signature. We've got minutes. Can you outrun it? No. Can you hide us? She hesitated, then pressed a button on the sidewall. A hidden compartment opened. Just big enough for two. A tight crawl space. Inside. Now, they both crawled in. Face to face. Body to body. Her chest pressed into his. Her breath shaky. His heart pounding. You sure this is the best hiding spot? He asked. It was designed for life support shielding. But right now, it's just a squeeze? She nodded. And then, her leg brushed right against him. The bulge. Again. Her eyes widened. She couldn't look away. You're still hard. You locked me in a tight box, pressed your thighs against me. What did you expect? She swallowed hard, then smiled. To be continued. Comment question. Should she focus on escaping the enemy or exploring the full power of human anatomy first? Inside the tiny crawl space, every breath felt too loud or too close, too dangerous. Vesha was pressed chest first against him, her soft curves molded tightly to Blake's hard, war-hardened frame, and that bulge, still growing, still pulsing against her thigh like a heartbeat. She tried not to look down, but it was impossible not to feel it. You're seriously still like this, she whispered. Blake smirked. You're seriously still surprised. I've studied hundreds of alien anatomies. Yours is the only one that reacts like this. Maybe we're just built for stronger reactions. She rolled her eyes, but her hand didn't move from his chest. Then boom, a thud against the escape pod. The patrol drone was scanning them. The pod trembled. The crawlspace lights dimmed. Vesha's eyes widened. Our oxygen levels dropping fast. How bad? Blake asked. We used emergency power too quickly. Life support's unstable. What do we do? She looked at him, then bit her lip. There's a way. He raised an eyebrow. You're gonna say something ridiculous, aren't you? She blushed green. My species can share oxygen. Like how through mouth-to-mouth contact, it's more efficient. Deeper exchange. Blake grinned. So, you're saying, kiss me or die. It's not a kiss, she said quickly. It's oxygen transfer, sure. Just like how that bulge is a medical condition. She looked away, but only for a second. Then she leaned in, lips brushing his warm slow. And then, she kissed him not fast, not rough deep. Her lips moved softly against his, parting just enough to let the shared air flow between them. Her hands clutched his jumpsuit. His arms wrapped around her back, pulling her close, too close. The kiss lasted longer than it needed to, and when she finally pulled away, her eyes fluttered open, half-dazed, lips swollen. Did you feel that? She asked softly. Oh, I felt a lot of things, Blake said. But I'm not sure it was oxygen. She looked down. His bulge was now pressing hard between them. Her breathing picked up again. Your heart rate just doubled. It's not the only thing that's rising. She laughed under her breath. You're impossible. I'm irresistible. Suddenly alert. System failure. The voice echoed inside the pod. The patrol drone was latching onto their outer hull. We're out of time, she said, snapping into action. We have to jump. Jump where? There's an uncharted planet in range. One drop pod left. You're serious? Better than being captured. He touched her cheek. You sure you want to throw everything away for me? She hesitated, looked into his eyes, then nodded. You're not like the others, and I don't want to just skin you anymore. I want to understand everything. She bit her lip, even the parts that throb under blankets. He grinned. Then let's make a run for it, nurse. They bolted into the main pod chamber. Vesha keyed the hatch controls while Blake strapped in tight. The drop pod was barely large enough for one, but she climbed in with him anyway, legs over his lap, chest to chest again. Her body fit perfectly against his, soft and firm. In all the right places. She hit the release. Whoosh. The pod launched through space, spinning wildly, then pierced into a planet's upper atmosphere. Gravity crushed them together. Blake groaned. Next time we crash, let's at least do it with a bed. She gasped, clinging tighter. If we survive this, I'll make the bed. Crashed out. The pod slammed into jungle terrain, metal screeching, smoke rising, silence falling. They lay there, breathing hard. Alive, but far from safe. Outside, the alien planet was dark, wild, and completely unknown. She looked down at him, still on top, his hands on her waist, his eyes locked on hers. Now what? She asked, her voice a whisper. Blake smirked. Now, we see how long we can survive, with one bed and zero pants. Common question. If you were trapped with Blake on a wild alien planet, would you share oxygen or body heat first? Asterisk. The jungle was alive with strange sounds, buzzing, growling, distant shrieks. The air was thick and warm, like sweat and danger. Vesha climbed out of the crash pod first, scanning the tree line with narrowed eyes. Her skin glowed under the twin moon's green and glistening. Behind her, Blake limped out, shirt torn, blood crusted over one arm, but smiling. Not bad, he muttered. For a crash. She looked back at him. You're bleeding again. Yeah, he said. You've got a kiss for that? She rolled her eyes. That doesn't work on every wound. Sure about that. He winked. She sighed, but stepped closer and kissed his collarbone anyway. Soft, slow, warm. He closed his eyes, savoring the moment. Then crack, a dart flew through the air and hit Blake in the neck. His body stiffened. Blake, Vesha shouted, catching him as he stumbled. Three tall figures in armored suits stormed the clearing, black visors, electric batons, cuffs in hand. Galactic authority, target acquired, one of them said. Priority code, human threat level red. He's injured, Vesha screamed. He's not a threat. Step aside, Nurse Vesha, the lead officer ordered. You've already violated protocol. He saved your lives in the war. She barked. He's the reason your damn station is still floating. He is unauthorized, classified, and now detained. They shoved her back and dragged Blake's limp body toward the dropship. Let him go, she cried, tears burning. Return to duty, the officer snapped. You've broken enough rules. Inside the patrol ship, Blake was chained to a medical bed, still groggy, still shirtless, and still stubborn. You guys have a real hospitality problem, he muttered, blood dripping from his lip. One of the guards slammed his baton across the table. Shut up, Blake chuckled. Guess flirting's not part of your training. Back in the jungle, Vesha sat alone beside the pod wreck, her fists clenched. Her scanner blinked softly. A video feed replayed their kiss, his smile, the look he gave her just before they took him. She swallowed hard. Then stood up. No, she stormed into the wreckage, ripped open the emergency locker, and pulled out a weapon, a plasma pistol, still hot. I didn't break all the rules just to watch them chain him like an animal. She pulled her hair back, tied it tight, and loaded a second battery into the weapon. I touched him. I kissed him. Her eyes burned with fire. He's mine now. Meanwhile, Blake sat cuffed, watching the guards whisper, "Where's the sexy nurse?" He asked, "I miss her already." Silence. The officer barked. Blake leaned back, groaning, "Man, you people have no foreplay." Then boom, the ship rocked violently, alarms blared. Smoke filled the hallway. "She's here," Blake muttered, grinning. Vesha stormed in through the blown hatch, hair flying, eyes glowing, pistol raised. "Get away from him," she shouted. "Vesha," Blake blinked. "Damn, you look hot when you're mad." One of the guards charged. She shot his baton midair, sending him flying into a wall. Another aimed at her. She rolled, fired, landed on one knee, dead center hit. "Damn," Blake muttered. "Remind me never to lie to you." She ran to him, breathing hard. "I told you," she said, unlocking his cuffs. "I wasn't done scanning you." He stood, wobbly, chest bare, muscles tense. "Then maybe skin me after we run." They ran through smoke, alarms blaring, side by side. As they reached the exit hatch, she pulled him close, hand on his chest, her face inches from his again. "You okay?" "Better now." He breathed, still, throbbing. She teased. He raised an eyebrow. "Get me somewhere private, and I'll show you just how much." She bit her lip, then slammed the escape hatch. Comment question: would you blast a government ship just to get your human back, or wait till he's uncuffed to skin him better? The escape pod soared through the planet's clouds, broken hull, smoky engine, but alive. Blake leaned back in the passenger seat, shirtless, bruised, grinning like a man who just won the galaxy. And next to him Vesha. Her hands still trembled, slightly on the controls, not from the battle, but from him, his scent, his heat, his smile that refused to die, even after being chained, beaten, and nearly executed. He looked at her. She looked back, and neither spoke, not with words, but their eyes said everything. "I want you," his gaze told her. "You scare me," hers answered. "But I still want you too." They landed deep inside a green valley. No patrols, no scanners, no rules, just jungle, wind, and one very stubborn human. Vesha opened the pod door, stepping out into the humid air. Her white uniform was torn and soot-streaked, her skin glowing with adrenaline. Blake followed, limping, wiping blood off his lip. "Nice landing," he muttered. "Smooth as your hips." She turned, smirking. "I just saved your life again." "Then maybe I owe you something." "Like what?" she asked, half-sarcastic. He stepped close. "Everything." She paused, then whispered, "Show me." They moved toward a rocky ledge, private, quiet, hidden from the stars. He sat down. She stood in front of him, heart racing, chest rising and falling faster than ever. "You sure?" she asked, lips trembling. "About you?" he said. "I've never been more sure of anything." She knelt in front of him slowly, her hands brushing over his chest, feeling the scars, the muscle, the heat. "You humans, you feel like fire, and you feel like temptation in a lab coat." She giggled. "This isn't standard procedure, you know." "No," he said. "It's human tradition." Their lips met again. Hot, hungry. No alarms, no cuffs, no hiding. Just sweat, breath, and raw instinct. She climbed into his lap, her body pressed tight against his, her thighs straddling him, heat radiating through every inch. "I've never done this," she whispered. "With a human, with anyone." Blake smiled. "Then let's make it memorable." The stars blinked above them as clothes dropped one piece at a time. Her skin shimmered under moonlight, her curves soft and sharp in all the right places. He kissed along her collarbone, her neck, her jaw. She gasped, whispered things in her language, words she didn't even know she remembered. And when she looked down, seeing him fully, she whispered, "You're more than I expected." He raised an eyebrow. "Scared?" She smirked, excited. The night was long, bodies tangled, moans echoed softly between the rocks. And when morning came, they were still together, still touching, still alive, wrapped in each other. Later, she lay on his chest, fingers tracing the scar that brought them together. "Your trouble," she said, softly, "and you love it." She looked up at him. "I do." He brushed hair from her face. "So what now? We start a new war?" "No," she whispered. "We start a new species." He chuckled. But when she kissed him again, long, deep, emotional, he knew she meant it. Far Above, the patrol ships still searched, but they'd never find them. Not here. Not now. And not after what they'd shared. He was the human who survived war, torture, and every damn thing the galaxy threw at him. But what really shook the alien nurse was the size of his heart, and the size of what she touched first, the end final comment question. So tell us, viewers, should she raise a family with him, or run more experiments first?